I'm Bobby Darrinson, and I'm a director of fact. I've done quite a few movies on YouTube. It's a new thing on the internet, you know, and things like King Kong 2, Return of the Dead Monkey, Lord of the Rings, the fourth edition. Bit pretty wild since there wasn't anything like that in the book, but you know, copyright and that, who cares? Yeah, of the fourth Lord of the Rings movie. I it was sort of steamed in some controversy. I got sued a couple of times when I introduced in the script J.R.R. Tolkien's ghost coming back and being shot to death by Aragorn, who's of course gone into the future, the year 40,000, and has met this character Gandalf, who is a cyber wizard with immense electronic power, and who rides a mighty fine steed, Shadow. I think it was quite a good move to have Aragorn shooting J.R.R. Tolkien to death after writing a novel about him, but they didn't see it, especially his son swore a lot at me. But, you know, I think that's good to have your script criticised like that, with swearing and objects being thrown at you, and security arresting you and having you in jail for 3 months, because that's what being a director really is about, having controversial things in your script, even if they're seen by everybody else as something really horrible and disturbing. A lot of people have asked me what my style of directing is, and well, I think it's more about firing people than actually directing the movie. I mean, you can't have a movie where you have the people who aren't afraid of the director. One slip up and they're off. I just fire them straight away. I don't care if it's their only lifestyle and they got no money left and they're sent onto the streets and die like a tramp, you know. It's not my problem. I've got to keep up my view of directing, really. Kind of, you can't have people who just do whatever they want because they know they're not going to get fired. I mean, you gotta fire some people sometimes, even if they don't do anything wrong. I think if someone does something right, they should be fired too, because you can't have someone doing something right and someone doing something wrong and them not getting punished for doing something right. I think they should be, really. And on the subject of directing, I think not only directing, but inventing is a very useful skill to have. I mean, I invented this. It's a whistle of sorts. It sounds a bit like a dog being crushed to death under a car, but I think that's the sort of thing children need in their lifestyles, to have a whistle where they can represent their dog being killed in a most brutal way. Because it is quite crap, but it does go well with things like keywords. If you look here, see, I think that works quite well, and children can really get along with using their keyboards that they just toss aside when their parents are there. You know, the sort of present pieces of shit and no child likes, but this would work really quite well. And on the subject of the fourth Lord of the Rings soundtrack, the producers didn't really give me much choice in the matter, but I think what I came up with, it's quite good. It's quite good. That, of course, was the Riders of Rohan coming down for the fourth time to try and vanquish the armies of the 40,000-year orcs, which have invaded the city of New York, which of course has been destroyed in a hurricane and has got mutants everywhere. Not copywriting anything, but of course we didn't have a sound boom as you know you usually would, but of course we were able to improvise. We had a chord that represented walking. Of course it was like, and that was them walking, and we had them speaking, of course, which was because of course we couldn't put their voices in because we had
no sound to put it in or anything like that. And we had quite controversial. The horse galloping was more like, which of course represented their riders falling to their death, being trampled by the horse. And of course, the most one, we had the bit where Sauron and Saruman go charging off into the realms of the wastes to rescue Gandalf from the clutches of Aragorn, who's of course gone insane, going to the future where he's a medieval knight and such. It goes more like, which was the sweat dripping, as you know, it does when you're in hot climates like that. And of course we had the best bit where the Ents come in with their laser beams and their the dam of ice, and the flowing river's more like, you know, quite blunt, but I think it gets the point, of course. And the producers didn't seem to like that, and they just chose to kick me out and scrap the film altogether, which I think it's not very good, really, is it? Doesn't seem like professional work. And of course, costumes, we had a little problem there, since our budget was 57p we found in a gutter and stole off a tramp. But we did come up about it. Since they're in the future, you know, schoolgirl uniforms of the female house, you know, get the crowd, all the teenagers, and of course, we had, well, Gandalf of course doesn't have a staff, he has a rifle, which doubles as a guitar in his solo part, where he plays a guitar arranger with Sauron, the evil mastermind who kidnaps Aragorn, or something, I can't remember, but we used this stick. See, he held it kind of like this, and it did pop up, because you know, children were the main benefactors of this, and their mind's eye, they wouldn't see a wooden piece of shit, they would see a gun, like an AK-47 or a huge laser thing. I don't care what children think, I hate them really, but the benefactors are mainly children, so we have to aim for them. And of course we have these I've been to Rivendell t-shirts, which you can see the elves on the front, yes, I think, yes, from what I can see. And so our costumes really were t-shirts, school uniforms, sticks, and clothes we managed to steal off tramps. And well, they weren't really good enough, only for Gandalf, because he played a tramp who went out of business after Sauron got vanquished, because, you know, he's a wizard. What's he gonna do? Not smoke weed all his life like some of us. You know what I mean, don't you? So basically, those three items that were our main costumes as